Boa tarde e bem-vindos uma vez mais ao Check-in Turismo, o podcast e vodcast da Escola de Hotelaria e Turismo do Porto. Hoje é com enorme gosto que tenho aqui comigo o professor Kevin Hemsworth, que, para além de ser antigo aluno da escola, também é nosso atual professor. O Kevin é bilingue, certo, Kevin?
Certo.
E então o resto da entrevista será feita em inglês, a pensar também na nossa comunidade de alunos estrangeiros. So, Kevin, thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Thank you for having me.
And as usual in our podcast, we start by asking our guests if they could share something funny that they went through during their, how can I say this, life as a student at EHTP.
Okay, so one of the worst things that could have happened to me was to be serving the table number 1, which was the director's table, and the dish completely falling from my hand onto the table in front of the director, to which he reacted with a very cynical smile and saying if my hands were not wet or something, they shouldn't be, but it didn't splash around, so it wasn't that bad.
Okay.
So that was the worst situation that happened, so I was really lucky there.
So there were no after effects after that?
No.
Okay. Okay, so, and what motivated you, Kevin, to choose a course and a career in hospitality?
So I have, ever since I can remember, I was cooking, I was looking at how things worked in the kitchen and in restaurants. So from a very tender age, I start cooking. I am one of 6 brothers. They appreciated that because I would bake cakes and so on. So I made it a point that I would pursue this, although I knew that it would not be the only thing I would pursue. So I didn't want to be a chef, I didn't want to be a cook, but I did want to progress in a hotel management situation. That has been ever since, and I had no family history regarding hospitality, so it was really something that came out from my skills as a cook. I was a scout, so I cooked as a scout. I did a lot of things around the house. I always managed to make omelets without eggs.
Okay.
So that was a bit of my idea of managing a hotel and leading people into solving problems. So that's why I came to hotel management. And from then, I just started on in my career. So once I finished, sorry, I didn't finish my career yet.
The course?
So, once I finished my studies in hotel management, I started working for Accor. It was very funny because I knew that there was an Accor hotel, Novotel was going to open in Oporto, and I found out that the first manager was a French guy. And by that time I was doing a voluntary internship in Paris, and I managed to contact him in France. I knew that he was going to pass by Paris to come to Oporto, so I managed to get an interview in the airport beside somebody that was sleeping, and he interviewed me, and well, we connected, and he said, well, I would like to offer you a position in the front office. And I said, oh no, I'm sorry, front office, no, I'm really not into I would like something more because, you know, I speak languages, I've done this, I've done that. No, I'm sorry. So then 2 days after he called me, and he asked me to go and be the sales representative of the hotel, to which I said yes. Okay, that would be something that I would like. And he said, well, be here tomorrow then. So I packed my bags very quickly, but I wasn't able to arrive there the next day, so I arrived there 2 days after, and I started working in Accor, where I worked for 20 years.
Awesome. So you are a go-getter. So you had a goal. You had a goal.
Yes,
and,
I wanted it, and I went. And then, of course, in Accor, I started in that position, but I was always pursuing something of a career. So at that time, it was logical that any career in hotel management had to go through food and beverage department. So I wasn't from the food and beverage department. So I managed to start getting into what was happening in the hotel, so that the next position I would take would be food and beverage manager. And that happened. So after that, I became a deputy manager. And after that, I was given a hotel to manage, a small hotel Ibis, which I opened. So it was an opening, and that was really very interesting.
In Porto?
In Vila da Feira.
Okay.
So it was really interesting. I went into I spent 5 years in Novotel, and then I went into a new brand, a new chain, what was Ibis, and it was really thriving. It was really, it was a blockbuster. Mm-hmm. So I started working in Ibis, and then I went through other hotels in Ibis. And after that, I wanted to change, and I went to, within the group, I went to Mercure. So that was one of my challenges, because the hotel was for sale, but it had a loss, so it wasn't profitable at the time. So my mission was to make the hotel profitable, mm-hmm. for it to be sold, which I managed in 1.5 years, which was quite good. So I had a nice profit. And after that, I left Accor because either I stayed in Oporto or I went to Lisbon, and there were no positions available in Oporto, so I left hotels and pursued teaching as well, okay. Because I had the experience. So meantime, because I wanted to, I had done my degree in management. Meantime, while I was studying, the strange thing was that when I passed from Novotel to Ibis, I told my director, "Look, I'm studying at the same time," and he told me, "Well, if you want to have a hotel direction, you have to stop studying, because you can't do that." And I said, okay, and I continued studying, of course. So and
without him knowing?
Without him knowing. Yep. So it was my little secret. Okay. Then after that, when I left the hotels, I started to pursue a master's in health institutions economics. Because I opened a company in home care, mm-hmm. Which I had open for 10 years. And at the same time, I studied, I worked, and I taught in hotel management in universities. And it came a time where I had to, after doing my master's, I had to do my PhD. Mm-hmm. So otherwise I would be, it would be difficult for me to have a teaching job in universities. So that's why I pursued finally the PhD in tourism management, because it also felt as the next step, because I learned so much for so many years. I was 20 years learning a lot from so many people, from the people that worked for me, from the people I worked for, and from the clients. And I felt that it was a good time to give back, and to make sure that students that were in the schools, in the hotel management schools or universities, knew exactly what practical operations was like. I felt that people sometimes were not prepared. They had a theoretical vision of the business, and I felt that I could give something back there, and that's what I did.
To students, so...
To students.
Yeah. So they were not very prepared in terms of the practical ways of hotel management.
I think that they were deluded.
Okay.
People left schools and universities with the idea that they would become hotel managers in the next year. And of course, that's not true. Also, because I was a hotel manager for such a long time, I knew exactly what was lacking in the hotel management courses, so it was possible for me to give my contribution in how to build a hotel management degree. And that was very, very good, because and that was actually the basis of my PhD. I asked the students, I asked the teachers, and I asked the hoteliers what they would expect from a course that would provide them the best education for anybody that they would have as an employee. So anybody that they could recruit would have to give them some idea of how knowledgeable they were about the day-to-day of a hotel. And that would only be possible if there was a great connection between the course, the schools, and the hotels, and the people that worked in the hotels. And it was a very important part of using my connections with the hotel world, with all the people that I knew, and the schools to whom I started to connect with. And that actually was a very interesting, a challenge, but interesting, and it brought back a lot to what I believe is now the way I teach, and how I have influenced people that were my students and now teach towards quality.
You walk the walk, because many universities speak about that partnership between companies and the university, the academy, but you actually did it, the entire process regarding hospitality.
Yes, yeah. I think it should, we always do, we always think about these things as business to business. Actually, I think it is much more person to person, because it is knowing people that studied with me in the course. I mean, about 90% of the people I studied with in this school, up to today, we still meet and we still have a lot of professional connections. Of course, we have a good friendship relation amongst us, but that is very important. That actually built kind of an era where we knew what what was happening in the market, and we helped each other to build a new kind of way to look at how professionals should be. We come from a time where there was a great difference between what our teachers taught us and what we saw in the field. And there were many deceptions. Of course, some people left hotel management after pursuing it. Nowadays, what we see is that people leave hotel management without even pursuing it. They finish their course and they go to something else. So it is true that we have to look for talent, and people have to have a vocation for that. Yeah. Without a vocation, I don't think.
Yeah, because
a call for something. Yeah.
It's like that old saying, I don't know if it's Confucius or something like that. Like, if you find something you love doing, you won't need to work a single day in your life or something like that. Yeah.
So that's a bit it. And so I feel that today students can be better informed about what will happen in their professional life.
Yeah, and I think the internship plays a major role in doing so, right?
Very much, yeah. Very much. I have been pursuing for some time the idea that internships should be paid for, because people actually work a lot. And now with other institutions, I have developed a way of looking at internships, which is I don't look only at what I have to teach in an internship. I have to look at the student's curricula to his CV, and see whether he has had previous experience in hotels, because a lot of people do. And why make them go through an internship that is void for them in terms of knowledge achievement? So what I do is I try to send them to more challenging positions where they can walk beside a hotel manager or a hotel manager assistant and have a different position, so that they have a spiral of knowledge acquisition that will be actually useful for them while they are studying. Yeah. So it's a different, I believe it's a different position than that what the major universities in hotel management have these days.
But it makes the entire sense. That way it is enriching, it's a win-win situation, not only for the student, but also for the hotel that
Yes.
is welcoming.
Normally, when these opportunities of these internships happen, the great majority of times they are employed by the hotels.
Okay.
Because really it's an open door to a real position. Students feel valued. The hotel manager or the person that is in the hotel does have a long time to appreciate what kind of work they're doing, and I believe that's the ideal situation. It's the same thing as any chain going to look first amongst their personnel when they want to get somebody for a position. They have a bit more on what to assess the person, and therefore give them a position where they will feel more comfortable and more
Challenged?
and that matches their actual skills.
Okay.
So,
Okay, that's important. Speaking of skills, you mentioned earlier in the interview you were a scout.
I was.
Do you find what elements, because I'm sure there are, what elements do you think or characteristics or connections are there between
My professional
scout
life and scouting?
and hospitality?
Okay. Many. I was a scout for 24 years. So I was a little boy, and then I became a young boy, and then a young man, and then I became a leader. And this gave me the whole process. The whole scouting system is a social game. So where you take responsibility for what you do, where there's a team of people working together, everybody has their tasks well established, and we all contribute to everybody's happiness, so as to say. And as a social game that it is, this is what society should be like as well. So at least in a small company like a hotel, it is possible for people to participate to the main goal of the hotel, not only making money, but making everybody that works there feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. And it helped me so much in understanding how to step down a level, to talk to people, to find out what people wanted, and at the same time lead them. And in Scouts, I learned how to lead people, not to boss them around. And that makes me have a team, not a group of workers. So for that, I'm very thankful to Scoutism. And it made a huge difference when I even was hiring people. If they were Scouts, or if they had been Scouts, I would have a completely different perception of their skills, their soft skills, and their technical skills in solving problems. Because in hotels, the major thing that we do is we solve problems, and half of the problems have to do with staff.
And one question, you mentioned that one of your biggest challenges, I don't know if it was the biggest challenge, it was the coming around of the Mercure, that you were a hotel manager. Yeah. Was that your biggest challenge? And was that human component decisive in getting things back on track?
Well, it was one of the biggest challenges I had, because not only it meant that I had to change things around, I had to turn the situation around, but I was probably signing my own future and saying that I would have to leave the hotel business. So, or Accor for that sake. So it was difficult to downsize. Downsizing teams that have been there for 20 years, 30 years is actually painful. And nobody likes to do it. And doing this in a way that the team would not, fall apart, they wouldn't go against the director because he was, sending people away or reducing or changing the tasks that people that had to do every day, reducing costs in a way, proposing different ways of making money, of events happening in the hotel that they weren't used to. It is difficult to be the only one. It's a lonesome position. So you have to get some allies. And in a place where you have no allies, that is so difficult. So the first challenge was getting allies, make them believe about what we were doing and how this would bring benefits to everybody. So any change has to have that. It has to have a team of people that believe in you and they acknowledge which are the advantages of the change. And then it is pursuing it, even though you know sometimes that you will hurt people. And that is difficult.
Yeah, and it's challenging, it's difficult. People sometimes are not able to see the entire vision or the big picture. Yeah, the big picture. So it might be painful because people are looking at their own care, let's say.
Yeah, and they have to.
Yeah.
We all do, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yeah, it's sometimes I'm sure it's very difficult to. Nevertheless, congratulations for bringing things around. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so you then moved that. You made that transition. Oh, before that, I know you were also a consultant, right?
Oh, I have been for such a long time.
Yeah, was it interesting? Was it more or less challenging being a consultant and not a hotel manager? I know the challenge was different.
When you're a hotel manager, even though you change hotels and you have different challenges and different infrastructures and different teams and different locations, it can, the main business is there. I mean, you just say, okay, I have to do this again. When you're in a consulting position, you have to actually do it in a way where sometimes you're not fully aware of what is happening. You're not fully aware of the pressures the internal pressures that you have, and you just look at it coldly to find a solution. Mm-hmm. And that is interesting. That is why I got a lot into auditing. So I audit hotels, and I sometimes am aware of things that I thought were not of these days that still happen in staff. Okay, so I believe that consulting is a bit having to look at people as professionals and sometimes forgetting that they are people, because we're looking at the business structure, not so much to each position. And then we can assess whether they can evolve, they have skills to do better or whatever. But when you are consulting, you have to be careful, because what people want, or at least the things that I had in hands, were results. And results normally are expressed in dollars or euros or something like that. So it's a different expectation to do a good job, thinking of quality, but knowing that they want more profit. Mm-hmm.
And do you think, in terms of this, how can I say this focus on results and the vision that the entrepreneurs currently have, do you think there is a positive evolution in terms of the mindset of leaders nowadays? Do you think we have better leadership and more humane leadership in terms of hotel management?
I'll put it to you this way. If we think about before, it was not normal that a hotel did not have a hotel manager. Nowadays, we find that many hotel managers manage 3, 4, 5 hotels. That means that either they have a second line that works very well, they have an assistant or a deputy manager, but they are the managers, in fact. Mm-hmm. So leadership cannot have, in this mindset, it is not it is not more human than what it was. It is less human. So people have their tasks very well defined, and they perform. Mm-hmm. They are not a team member. They are a position that they occupy. And I believe that that is also one of the factors that leads to great turnover within not hotel management exactly, but in restaurants. In the hotel and restaurant business, there is no effective investment in keeping a team together. We have to perform. We do not have to be a team.
But shouldn't we be a team in order to provide the best possible experience to clients?
Excellence comes with a good team because they connect. But when we have a group of people that work in the same place, it's not the same thing. Yeah. So everybody's looking at their own goals and not necessarily to the team's goals. And at some point, you lose track of what is happening in the place when you manage 3 or 4 or 5 hotels.
So do you think the owners, the stockholders of hotel chains should revise their, how can I say this, policy?
Who am I to say that?
An expert in the field.
I will say,
just
pay the interns. That would be good.
Very well, Kevin. Thank you for sharing that and your opinion and your experience. I now would like to ask you, what was the, how can I say, the challenge that you felt was the most rewarding to you? The one task, that one mission that when you finished, you said, awesome. You felt awesome by finishing it.
It doesn't have to do with big tasks. Mm-hmm. It has to do with small tasks. There are 2 different things that happened, which were having a good idea for a business, building it up, convincing the other people that it can work within the hotel, it working and becoming a case study. That is an awesome situation. Mm-hmm. The other real good feelings that I had in hotels was when I hired newly graduate students from hotel school, from this school, mm-hmm. and I brought them to be directors. So establishing a path, helping them to go after their goals, showing them that they were able, and them feeling that they were able and succeeding. And nowadays when I meet them, I remember somebody that that had long hair, and I said, I'm sorry, I will actually have you as my receptionist, but you have to cut your hair. And he was really, at that time, and he cut his hair, and every time I meet him, he says, thank you so much for telling me to cut my hair. It made a change in my mindset. That's why today I'm a hotel manager. That's why today and I understand your point of view, and that's great. And some people that I meet today that were my employees somehow or my assistants that say, you know, up to today, I still use the same system you taught me to teach other people. So that's rewarding. Mm-hmm.
So, I hope people will listen to that little thing that you mentioned that had such a huge impact on that former student career. Awesome.
So the times have changed.
I was going to ask you, and what about the future? Do you think that in the next 10 years there will be major changes in how we manage hotels?
There will, but it's a secret.
Okay.
It's a mystery. Because I'm not sure the path will be as short as it was for us in our time than for the former students of this school that are leaving today. Okay. I think they will have more difficulties in being able to succeed in the market, because nowadays there is a lot of people looking for professionals, but I believe that this generation is a bit more demanding and sometimes may not want to, have to do some effort, have to sacrifice a few things that we sacrificed. And that's a challenge.
Are they right to be more demanding or challenge or?
I don't know. I don't know.
A tricky question.
Tricky question.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They have to think about it.
Okay. It's about choices.
They have to find their call.
Okay. Speaking of call, what makes, from your point of view and your expertise, the ideal profile for a future student of EHTP for a hotel management course, or and for to have a career?
Oh, that's my PhD. That's a long list of things. You have to have a lot of soft skills, but you do know how to do the small things in order to make people do them at some point. So I always thought that for anybody to perform correctly and to be a good leader, you have to know how to wash dishes. Otherwise, you will not be able to tell somebody how to wash dishes. In this school, and I say this many times in my classes, and I talk about it in tutoring that I give to other restaurant managers and hotel managers that I work with. When I was in school, I spent mornings peeling potatoes, and I had a potato peeler just beside me, and I said, "This is not fair. Why am I peeling potatoes?" And the teacher told me, "One day you will know the answer, because you will have to tell somebody how to peel potatoes and understand how long it takes and what necessary equipment you have to have and what are the results from doing one or the other." And this is a philosophy that I have used throughout my life to teach anything to anybody. Someday, you will have to know how to do it in order to teach somebody how to do it. So everybody that works in a position at some point will have to train somebody. Will have to teach somebody how to do the position that they had. So that is essential for any growth within any position. So why should I give a pass on that? Mm-hmm. People have to learn to teach, and teaching is not a teacher's function. It's everybody's function. Mm-hmm. You have to teach the future generations.
And how can I say this? Summing up by your own words, a good leader leads by example.
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much. By example and by passion. Thanks for that, Kevin. That potato peeler was also a good example. So again, going back to the little things, and now we transform it into much bigger things and much bigger results. Yes.
Yeah. Kevin, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
For sharing with us all your knowledge and expertise. A fraction of your knowledge and expertise. Thank you so much for sharing. E a todos os que nos acompanharam neste episódio do Check-in Tourism, não percam o próximo. Até breve.